popping in this February season to remind you that February is a threshold month. It's a trickster month. It'll send you some warm weather and convince you that it is spring. And I fall for it almost every year, except my love. Winter's not done with you yet. Winter's invitation to still and slow and go within and steward the soil of your soul before you leap into action in this false, tricky, wintry spring. So, my love, the promise of winter's invitation is to allow this stillness and this silence and this cocooning that you and I do to fill us, not empty us, even though it creates spaciousness if we let it. But this is the season to continue to let your soul fill you with clarity, to empty out of what is in the way, to remove the barriers, to continue to steward what is beneath the surface that is readying itself for the spring, the courage, the connection, the communion with your divinity. And as Rumi teaches us, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. As Telhard reminds us, above all else, trust the slow work of God. And as the Jewish psalmists sang in the ancient text, be still and know God. This is the invitation that is still being offered in this winter season. And I am going to be just returning from my retreat in Egypt, and I'm so excited to share the fruits of that time with you as you and I choose to gather up the fruits of the winter season and really deepen our practice of silence and solitude, what I call our opportunity to become more intimate with our own divine nature, the God within. And I'm teaching a 4-week class beginning this month. So join me. You can be in person or online here in the Albuquerque area. All the details are on our website, abqcsl.org.
So we had a Valentine's weekend. We've been talking about love. Hopefully people have gotten struck by love's arrow in some fun way. And if you haven't, I think you will today. Because what I want to talk about is what's possible, this thing called love, this big thing called love, capital L love, not the little love, not Hallmark love, but the capital L love. And I want to start talking first about the story that many of you have probably heard. It's a really famous parable story that there's a beggar sitting on the side of the road who's been begging on the side of the road, sitting on an old trunk that's been battered and been sitting there for 30 years, where they always do their begging. And someone walked by and was like, "What's this trunk you're sitting on? It looks interesting." And he was like, "It's not anything. Just do you have something for me?" And people walked by, and finally one guy said, "Hey, can I sit there?" And he was like, "Why would you want to sit on my old trunk where you're weird." And he was like, "No, let me sit there." And so the guy who was begging stood up, and the guy went to go sit down, and he noticed that it rattled when he went to sit on it. And so he opened it, and it was full of treasure. Right? The old tattered bench trunk that this guy had been sitting on for 30 years, experiencing poverty and not enoughness, was filled with treasure. Kind of like that love that we keep running everywhere for, seeking. Maybe they've got it. Oh, maybe he's got it. Maybe she's got it. Maybe this job's got it. Maybe this therapist got it. Right? Where am I going to find this love that I so deeply want? The love that I think will save the world. Right? This longing, this thing that I'm searching for, seeking for, asking everybody, do you have it? Do you have the love? Wait, you seem like you have extra. Can I have some of yours? And we're sitting on old tattered trunks that are full of it. We're in the company of love with every breath if we want to be. This love that we have been exhausting ourselves trying to find, right? Sure that we're going to find it out here from them, from this, from that. And then we're really mad when we don't. I thought you had the love. You don't have it. And now I'm pissed at you. Now I think you suck and we're never talking again. I thought this job was going to be the thing that gave me the love. My accolades, the awards, the certifications, the raises, the promotions. And I feel empty inside. It didn't fulfill the thing that I thought it would fulfill. My bank account is fat. I'm rolling deep. I got the house and the cars and the bling, the plastic surgery. And I keep hoarding and reaching and getting more and more and more. I'm getting cuter by the day. Everybody wants to hang out with me. And I'm totally unsatisfied. And I'm pissed. Because everything my parents told me, my teachers told me, my bosses told me that was going to make me feel good in the world, that was going to help me know success, doesn't fulfill me. And I have been climbing the ladder. I have been doing all the things that everybody said I was supposed to do. I married the right person. I had the 2.5 kids. I got the picket fence. I got the mortgage. And I'm not happy. I don't know joy. I swear Valentine pulled the arrow back and I found the great love of my life. And we're unsatisfied. She's not enough. He's not enough. They're not enough. And I'm tired. So I'm mad and I'm tired. And I'm unsatisfied. So I just keep hoarding and shoving stuff in my face and doing all the things to try to make me feel better. So now I'm just going to numb myself out because this is all sucky. I'm just going to doom scroll. I'm going to binge watch. I'm going to drink the things. I'm going to smoke some things. Because this is wildly unsatisfying. And I don't know what to do about it. I can see how unsatisfying it is out in the world. I can see how angry people are, how gypped people feel by the story we were handed of what success looks like and what our lives are supposed to be, the American dream, right? And we don't know why everybody's so mad and disappointed and dissatisfied and thinking they took it from me. They have my love. They have my joy. They have my satisfaction, and I want it back. Let's kick them out of the country. Because none of those things was ever going to be satisfying. That longing that lives in us, that we are born into, we are born with the longing to know the truth, to experience the love that we are, that literally brought us to life, that is animating every piece of aliveness that there is the love that we are longing to experience. And like the fish who swims in water, thinking they are going to go find water, you and I are sitting on a treasure chest. That wonderful poem from Saint Mystic Rabia. She walks by this guy every day in her village, and she doesn't live in the village because she got shunned for being sexy and smart. And so she lived outside the village, but she would come into the village for supplies every now and then. And she would walk by this guy every time she walked into the village who was crying at the temple door knocking. Please let me in. And every time she walked into town, this guy was knocking and begging, disturbing the peace. And finally, she went up to him, and she was shunned, so it was like dirty to touch her. And she just grabbed him and put his face in her face, and she said, dude, you're already in. You're already in the company of love. You've already been struck by the great arrow of Valentine. You already have access to the love that will meet every longing, every need, every satisfying experience you want to have can be found through this love that has been alive in you all along. It is the thing that has been animating you and moving your blood and breathing you as you breathe. Is this love? And if you watched one of my recent YouTubes, I talked about sort of my frustration with a meditation practice. Because what do you imagine I'm going to say is how you find this love? What's our practice this month? Anybody?
Silence and solitude.
Silence and solitude. So that is the how. We'll get there, but just don't be surprised. So if you saw the video, I talked a little bit about my own meditation practice over the years and how unsatisfying I found it. And I was a little bit like the guy Clarissa talked about at the beginning of our time together. Like, why do I have to just sit here in silence? And what am I doing? Like, following my breath. I'm following my breath. I keep following my breath. And I did that for a really long time, and I did all the things, right? I did Buddhist techniques and Vipassana, went to India and learned how to meditate, and I did all the things. So I should be really good at it. And it should be wildly satisfying and bearing all of this fruit, right? Because I'm a good spiritual person. But 10 years into these practices, and I'm like, this is stupid. It's not doing anything. There are no seeds under my frozen soil trying to bloom. This is just a waste of my time, and I don't know why I'm doing it anymore. So I stopped. I was like, I'm not doing this silly stuff. Trying to light up my pineal gland and inhale on my left nostril and right. I'm not doing any of this stuff anymore. It's dumb. So instead, I started laying down, totally breaking all meditation rules, by the way. And I was like, I am going to just lay here on my bed and feel how it feels to be quiet and still in my body. And that's it. That's my new practice. And it was the game changer. Now, I had been practicing for 10 years, so maybe that was helpful. Who knows? But what happened in that moment of deciding to pay attention to my inner life in my body brought me right into the arms of the One. I became aware of the sensations of God moving in me, the love that was bubbling up from the center of my being that had been waiting for me to pay attention. Been waiting that whole time, been available right in my body, and I had never encountered it. Because I didn't know that I could simply get quiet and turn within and wait for love to rise. And that this was the practice that I most needed. This was the thing that allowed me to really make real this idea that God is love and God is you, which are wonderful ideas that I believe to be true. I believe in an incarnational God. I believe in a panentheistic teaching that it is all one life, one God, one love. I have believed that since I've known what to think about any of it. But I didn't know it. I hadn't experienced it. I thought about it, I talked about it, I taught about it, I read about it. But I didn't know it until I went looking. I went looking in the one place I could have the experience. Where is the one place you can experience the infinite, ever-flowing, abundant nature of the divine? Anybody? In your body, in your aliveness, where you can have any experience, where you can feel the thing that I am talking about. This is why Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, called it a science. Because you can go try it for yourself. You don't need anybody to tell you about it. You can go find out. You can go find the aliveness of the Holy Blessed One, the love you are seeking, right here, right here. And it will never abandon you, even if it takes you 10 years to have the idea that it might be in there. It's there. I was listening to a podcast. One of my all-time favorite podcasts for the last several years is How to Survive the End of the World with Autumn Brown and Adrienne Marie Brown. And so Autumn Brown lives in Minneapolis, which is my home place, is where I was born. And I was listening to them talk about the current siege and being under occupation and what it's like for those living in Minneapolis. And she talked about something that I absolutely was so moved to hear, because this is why getting quiet and having a practice and discovering the love that is in you and is infinitely supplied through you. Because when it's time, when the rubber meets the road and you need to show up as that love, you can. And she was talking about, she's an incredible thinker. She teaches and organizers how to be organizers, and she teaches activists how to be activists, and she's very well known and has written the books. And she said, none of it mattered. My political framework did not matter when we were under siege. What you believe about the thing and who you voted for did not matter. You know what mattered? Love, neighbors, community, care. Nobody stopped to say, I don't know if you deserve my protection. What do you believe? People just ran out onto the streets and started protecting one another. Do you need childcare? Do you need food? Do you need somebody to be out here in your block blowing whistles? I got you. And an entire city of people showed up for each other because that's what love does. All of the rest fell away. This is why we practice. Because raise your hand if you want to be the one who knows how to show up when it matters. So we practice. We practice showing up first for ourselves. We practice discovering this love that does not have to be earned, doesn't have to be achieved, produced, won, cannot come from outside of you. You are in the company of love right now. I want you to take a moment and just follow your breath into your body and meet love. And then I want you to follow your breath out of your body and give love. It is that simple. And no matter how many times we forget, one of my favorite lessons I learned in this practice of discovering what I've been able to discover through getting quiet and having a silence and solitude practice in my own body, paying attention to my own self, is it started to bring me into contact with grace, this other thing I kept hearing everybody talk about, that I didn't really understand what it was. And I began to become available to the grace that was being given to me all the time because I was present to the love that was there. And that I started to do this experiment many years ago now. I would learn how to find it in my body pretty quickly. You know, I could put my hands on my chest. I could just be, walking in the grocery store and do this, and I could find that feeling right in my chest. So I started to test when I was pissed at somebody, when I wanted to punch one of my kids in the face, and I was quite sure that they had stolen my peace, right? And then I would just put my hands on my chest to see if that feeling was still there. Wait, is the love still here? Is that little bubbly, champagne-y thing is still going? And every time I checked in, it would still be there. No matter how badly I had behaved, no matter how loud I just yelled at the kids that I was absolutely delighted by an hour before that, no matter how many times I started eating sugar again after I swore I was going to give up sugar, I would put my hands on my chest and it was still there. I couldn't do anything to lose contact with this love that lived in me. This is grace. This is grace. You can't unearn, you can't break the love of God. You can't lose it. You might lose touch with it. You might forget about it. You might forget to put your hands on your chest and check in. Is it still there? That is really shitty. Is it still there? And it is still there. And because I couldn't do anything to mess it up, I started to really know that nobody could. Nobody, no matter what. If love was still there for me, love was still there for you and anyone ever. And for all of us, no matter how badly we may screw it up, love is always right there waiting for us to pay attention. And as we begin to understand ourselves to be in the company of love in our very own bodies, and then we do the thing that love does as we begin to offer it, because it's as natural as breathing. When you recognize, I've got an infinite supply of this good stuff right here, of course I'm going to start giving it away. And then you become in the company of love everywhere you go, with everyone you come in contact with. And that showing up as love thing starts to happen in every set of circumstances you find yourself in. All because you got quiet and you got curious about what was happening in here, in you. And you made it a practice to seek the love that is in your own being. This is what becomes possible when we practice, when we begin to know, Not just believe that we are love, that God is love, and God is me, and is you, and is all of life. That belief becomes a known experience because we practice.